The idea behind this short video is to give you some understanding of what the feminist statistics about rape suggest. And in order for you to get a feel for what is going on when it comes to these statistics, I'm going to use a little bit of simple maths and a few stick-like figures. And the first figure that I want to show you is a pictogram of 10 women who have been genuinely raped in a city one evening. Now, according to the feminists, and indeed according to many Western governments, including those of the US and the UK, only 1 woman out of 10 women who have been genuinely raped will report the matter to the police. And so in our pictogram, we can see just 1 of the 10 women who have been genuinely raped going off to the police station to report the crime. Now, for the moment, let us just go back to our original 10 women who have been genuinely raped. And in order to keep the numbers simple, I am just going to make the suggestion to you that men are 10 times more likely to rape a woman than is a woman likely to make a false allegation of rape. In other words, for every false allegation of rape made in our city during the course of one evening, there are 10 women who have been genuinely raped. Well, if this is the case, then for every 10 women who have been raped, there is just 1 false accuser. But now look what happens. The false accuser turns up at the police station to make her false accusation. But only 1 of the 10 women who was raped does so. And the important point to grasp is this. Even though we have assumed that men are 10 times more likely to rape a woman than is a woman likely to make a false accusation, it still turns out to be the case that 50%, in other words half, of all the allegations made to the police are false. Now, I myself do not actually believe that men are 10 times more likely to rape a woman than is a woman likely to make a false accusation of rape. My own view is that these days there are so many incentives for women to make all sorts of accusations of abuse of some kind or other, that they are in fact far more likely to make false allegations than they are to be raped. But for the sake of even-handedness, let us just assume that men are just as likely to rape a woman as a woman is likely to make a false allegation. Well, if this is the case, then if we have 10 women who have been genuinely raped, we also have 10 women making false accusations of rape. Here is a pictogram of this. Now the 10 false accusers will turn up at our police station to make their false accusations, but only 1 of the genuine rape victims will do so. Remember, according to the feminists, and according to many Western governments, only 1 in 10 women who are raped will report the matter to the police. And here she goes. And now, take notice of the fact that while 11 women turn up to the police station, only 1 of them is telling the truth. In other words, over 90% of the allegations made to the police are false. So, to recap, if men are indeed 10 times more likely to rape than are women likely to make false allegations of rape, then 50% of those women turning up at the police station will be making false allegations. On the other hand, if women are just as likely to make false allegations as they are to be raped, then over 90% of the women turning up at the police station will be making false allegations. Now all this leads to a rather interesting question, doesn't it? Are men so awful, and women so angelic, that a man is actually 10 times more likely to rape a woman than is a woman likely to make a false allegation of rape? Or is it the case that the likelihoods are much more similar to each other? Or, indeed, are women actually more likely to make a false accusation than is a man likely to commit a rape? Well, my own view is that women these days are far more likely to make a false accusation than is a man likely to rape, for the simple reason that women are nowadays offered so many incentives for making false accusations of abuse, of one sort or another, that many thousands of women every year now avail themselves of the opportunities that are being afforded to them. Furthermore, of course, some 5% of the general population, and hence some 5% of women, have significant personality problems when it comes to dealing with relationships, and some 17% of women admit to having serious emotional problems as a result of PMS every month. And the important point to understand here is this. Even if a small proportion of these particular women, the ones who are having problems, were to stumble into making a false accusation of rape, this could account for all of the allegations made every year to the police. In other words, the chances are very high indeed that most of the women who make accusations of rape come from this particular population of women, and most of the evidence that I have seen is completely consistent with this notion. Furthermore, of course, through almost every mainstream media organ in the land, Western women have been daily encouraged for almost 3 decades now to make accusations of abuse. Indeed, this continual encouragement to women to make accusations against men never seems to stop. Just look at all the chat shows and the tabloids and the various outpourings from thousands of media feminists, and then from those working for governmental departments allied to the ever-burgeoning abuse industry, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Indeed, we also now have thousands of lawyers touting for business by encouraging women to make allegations of abuse. Here, for example, is an advert currently being placed on Google. And there are tens of thousands of lawyers like these who seek to profit by offering incentives to women to make accusations against men. And so, all in all, my guess is that women are nowadays far more likely to make false accusations than are men likely to commit acts of rape. In which case, some 90% of the allegations made to the police are false. Finally, of course, if you look at the pictograms again, you will see them depicting 10 women who have indeed been raped, genuinely raped, and we must not forget about these women. But of those who turn up at the police station, the evidence suggests very strongly indeed that, at the very least, most of them are nowadays false accusers. As such, it really is about time that we started having some concern for the thousands of men who are falsely accused every year. And please, always remember, even if it was true that, despite all the incentives, and despite all the problems that women might have, men are still 10 times more likely to rape a woman than is a woman likely to make a false allegation, it would still be the case that 50% of the allegations made to the police would be false. Thus, we can summarize the evidence as follows. Firstly, the probability is very high that the vast majority of allegations made to the police are false, with the figure for false allegations actually hovering somewhere around the 90% level. Secondly, these false allegations will be coming from a small percentage of those women who are having particular problems of some kind, and also from those women who are seeking some kind of advantage for themselves. Thirdly, the vast majority of women who have been raped never actually go to the police to tell them about the matter.